In today's video, I'm going over 6 habits that worsen your confidence and what you can do about it. Confidence is not just about feeling bold or being able to speak up in front of people. It is the quiet belief you have in yourself. Confidence is about how you handle mistakes, how you talk to yourself, and whether you believe you can figure things out when challenges come up. The problem is, a lot of us have habits that have slowly weakened our confidence. We do not notice it happening because it shows up in small, everyday moments in how we react to feedback, what we do when something feels uncomfortable, or even how we respond when we do something well. These 6 habits can make you doubt yourself, second guess your decisions, and hold you back from opportunities that could actually help you grow. That being said, let's get into the first one. Number 1, negative self-talk. Negative self-talk is when you are your own harshest critic. It is that voice in your head that turns every mistake into a character flaw and every setback into proof that you're not capable. This is not healthy self-reflection. Healthy self-reflection looks at a mistake and says, that did not go well. Here's what I'm gonna try next. Negative self-talk says, I always mess things up. I am useless. People often think being hard on themselves will push them to do better. They believe it keeps them accountable. You miss a workout, you call yourself lazy, and the next day you force yourself to go. That might work once or twice, but it slowly lowers your confidence because motivation in those moments is coming from fear and shame, not from real self-belief. Negative self-talk also makes you play smaller, and what I mean by that is if you are constantly telling yourself you are not ready or you are not good enough, you stop putting yourself in situations where you might succeed. You may hesitate to take opportunities because you expect yourself to fail before you even start. Think about it this way. If you had a friend who was trying to improve and every time they made a mistake you told them they were worthless, would that actually make them stronger? Or would it make them doubt themselves to the point that they would give up? You already know the answer, but that is exactly how many people talk to themselves daily. The solution is not swinging to the other extreme and pretending everything is fine when it is not. The actual antidote is self-compassion. Self-compassion means you acknowledge the problem, take responsibility, and focus on improvement without attacking your worth. If you miss a deadline, instead of saying, I am terrible at managing my time, you can say, I did not plan well for this. I'm going to block time in my calendar so I do not repeat it. That statement holds you accountable and still gives you a path forward. Another tool that helps is asking yourself, what is the most useful way I can talk to myself right now? That question changes the focus from self-punishment to problem solving. Useful self-talk guides you toward action. Destructive self-talk leaves you stuck, replaying the same criticism in your head. If your inner voice feels like an enemy, your confidence will always suffer. When your inner voice becomes a supportive coach instead of a critic, you start building confidence from the inside out. And that is the kind of confidence that actually lasts. Number 2, avoiding challenges. We all have a comfort zone. It is predictable, familiar, and safe. In your comfort zone, you know what to expect, and you're rarely caught off guard. While it feels good to stay there, living entirely in that zone limits your growth. Outside of it is the growth zone. The growth zone is where you learn new skills, try new experiences, and face situations that test your limits. This is the space where confidence is built because you prove to yourself you can handle more than you thought. Most people avoid challenges because of how it feels to step into that zone. It can trigger anxiety, self-doubt, and even embarrassment. Your heart races, your stomach knots, and your brain tries to convince you that avoiding the challenge is safer for you. But that discomfort is not a stop sign. It often means you're about to do something that matters. For example, maybe you're asked to lead a short presentation at work. Your first instinct might be to say no because you feel nervous. But if you push through, you're not only going to improve your skills, you're also sending a message to your brain that says, I can do things that scare me. And avoiding challenges trains your brain to believe that you cannot handle them. Every time you back away, you reinforce the idea that you're not capable. And that belief grows stronger each time you choose the safe route. Take someone who's terrified of speaking in meetings. Their comfort zone is so small that even saying one sentence in a group feels overwhelming. However, they can start small. First by committing to making one brief comment during a meeting and then working up to sharing a quick update. Eventually, Eventually, they might even be leading parts of a project. So the antidote is to start with manageable challenges and build from there. If public speaking feels overwhelming, begin by speaking up once in a smaller group. If going to the gym intimidates you, start with a short visit when it is less crowded. If networking events feel awkward, aim to have one short conversation instead of forcing yourself to work the room. Each time you take a step into the growth zone, you teach your brain the opposite message. I can do this. This builds confidence, not just in the skill you're practicing, but in your overall ability to adapt. Confidence is not built by waiting for the fear to disappear. It is built by acting while it is still there and showing yourself you can handle it. Number 3, disqualifying the positive. Disqualifying the positive is when you reject or downplay good things said about you or good things that you have done. It happens so quickly you might not even notice it. Someone compliments your work and you say, "It was nothing." A friend thanks you for helping them through a hard time and you respond, "I didn't really do much." It feels like modesty, but it's actually training your brain to ignore evidence that you are capable, skilled, or valued. Even when good things happen, they don't register as part of who you are. Psychologically, this often comes from negative core beliefs. If you have told yourself for years that you're not enough, compliments feel like you're not worthy of them. Accepting them feels wrong, so you throw them away before they have a chance to challenge your old belief. Think about how many times you've been praised for something and instantly responded with a reason why it didn't count. I had help. It was just luck. It wasn't a big deal. Every one of those responses is you telling your brain to toss out evidence that you're resilient and capable. Some people might even keep a literal list of every mistake but never keep track of a single success. If they start making a list of what they've done well, they might laugh and say that would be a short list. But if they try it anyway, within a month they can have pages of real accomplishments that they have been ignoring. One of my favorite ways to do this is the positive scavenger hunt. At the end of each day, write down all the realistically good things you did, big or small. If you helped a coworker, maybe that means you are supportive. If you met a tough deadline, maybe that means you're disciplined. If you comforted a friend, maybe that means you're compassionate. Next to each action and reflection, ask yourself, is that true? If the answer is yes, you've just given your brain permission to store that as fact. At first, this might feel awkward. You might even feel like you're bragging to yourself, but the more you practice it, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, you will find yourself accepting compliments without immediately minimizing them. Number 4, comparing yourself to others. Comparison is a natural human instinct. We are wired to do it for survival, figuring out where we stand in a group, who has resources, who's a threat. But in modern life, it often backfires. The problem is not the act of comparing, it is what we do with the information. If every comparison ends with "I'm behind" or "I'm not good enough," it's draining your confidence. Social media makes this worse. You scroll and see people traveling, buying homes, starting businesses, looking happy. You are seeing their highlight reels. You don't see their arguments, their debt, their anxiety, so you end up comparing your full story to their highlight reel. The antidote is to change from comparison to curiosity. When you notice someone's success, ask, "What can I learn from this?" Or, "Is there a skill or habit they have that I can practice?" This keeps the focus on growth instead of self-punishment. It's also important to question the accuracy of what you're seeing. Ask yourself, do I have the full story? Or am I comparing to a standard I actually care about? Because sometimes we compare ourselves to things we don't even want, simply because they're right in front of us. Keep in mind you can still admire someone's achievements and even feel a little jealous, but the goal is to let the curiosity outweigh the self-criticism. When comparison becomes a tool for learning instead of a scorecard, it stops damaging your confidence and starts helping you grow. Number 5, perfectionism. Perfectionism is the belief that if something isn't flawless, it isn't worth doing. But this mentality keeps you stuck, afraid to start, afraid to finish, and trapped in endless tweaking. Underneath it is an inability to tolerate mistakes and imperfections. It's not just the error itself, it's the uncomfortable feelings that come with it, like embarrassment or frustration. Here is how it might look. Someone wants to invite friends over for dinner. They keep telling themselves they'll do it whenever their apartment is perfectly decorated, or whenever they have the perfect recipes, or when they can plan the entire evening without a single detail going wrong. Months pass and the dinner never happens, not because they don't want to see their friends, but because they're waiting for a version of perfect that just doesn't exist. Perfectionism convinces you to wait until you're ready, but ready never comes. That's why so many good ideas, plans, and connections never leave the someday stage. The antidote is to accept that mistakes are part of the process and to build tolerance for the feeling that comes with them. This doesn't mean lowering your standards. It means lowering the demand for perfection before you take action. Ask yourself, can I accept that I will make mistakes? And can I handle the feelings that come when I do? If you can say yes, you've removed the biggest barrier that perfectionism puts in your way. Start by intentionally doing something before you feel completely prepared. Host a dinner even if the menu isn't fancy. Apply for the job even if you're not a perfect match. Speak up in the meeting even if your answer isn't word for word perfect. Each time you act without waiting for flawlessness, you prove to yourself you can survive imperfection, and that proof builds confidence far faster than waiting for the perfect moment. Number 6, self-isolation. Self-isolation happens when you retreat from others because you fear being judged, misunderstood, or rejected. It's that voice in your head telling you that people won't accept you for who you truly are, so it just feels safer to withdraw and hide. The fear of vulnerability can feel overwhelming, and in those moments, the idea of being alone seems far more comfortable than taking a chance on connection. But the reality is, avoiding social situations, relationships, or even just shaping your true self with people actually limits your personal growth. When you choose isolation, you tell your brain that you are unworthy of connection and that you will inevitably be rejected if you allow others to see the real you. This reinforces a belief that you're somehow not good enough. The problem is, the more you isolate, the harder it becomes to connect with others, and the deeper the sense of unworthiness grows. If you've been isolating, you may have even convinced yourself that you don't need anyone, that being alone is better than risking the pain of possible rejection or misunderstanding. But the reality is, humans are wired for connection. Without it, we start to feel disconnected from ourselves and others, and that starts to chip away at our confidence. The antidote is not to force yourself into big social events or deep relationships right away. It's about leaning into your discomfort and taking small, manageable steps toward connection. Start by sending a text to a friend that you haven't spoken to in a while, even if it's just to check in. Attend a social event for just a short time, even if you're nervous, and leave whenever you need to. Or try opening up in a conversation, sharing something small but true about yourself and seeing how that feels. The more you practice showing up in these small ways, the more your brain learns that vulnerability does not have to be dangerous. It becomes easier to trust others and you begin to feel safer in your relationships. And the more you allow yourself to connect with others, the more confidence you will build. Not just in your ability to relate to people, but in your worth as someone deserving of love, acceptance, and understanding. Every time you choose connection over isolation, you take a small but powerful step toward breaking down the walls that have kept you from feeling confident and capable in your social interactions. And the longer you practice this, the easier it becomes to trust that vulnerability and connection can actually lead to deeper relationships, more self-acceptance, and ultimately stronger confidence. That's it for today's video. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you, and see you in the next one.